In today's video, we're going back to the 2016 NHL Draft, and we're going to redraft the top 10 picks. We'll jump into that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned today, we're taking a look at the 2016 NHL Draft, and we're redrafting the top 10 selections. So if you want to find out who I think should have originally gone in the top 10, and if these teams had a chance to do a do-over, who they would select now, then you certainly want to watch all the way through to the end of the video. Now let's first of all get started by taking a look at how the original top 10 picks were drafted. Now, of course, this draft is also known as the Auston Matthews draft, where the Toronto Maple Leafs were fortunate enough to win the draft lottery. So Auston Matthews went first overall. Of course, Patrik Laine went number 2 to the Winnipeg Jets. The Columbus Blue Jackets kind of went off the board a little bit and selected Pierre-Luc Dubois. Of course, he's worked out to be a pretty solid player for them, but at the time, he was ranked lower by many scouting services. The Edmonton Oilers did at number 4 select at finish winger Jesse Puljujarvi, who at one point was in the conversation for going number 2 or number 3. He ultimately fell to 4 with the Blue Jackets going in different directions there at number 3. The Vancouver Canucks at number 5 selected defenseman Olli Juolevi. The number 6 pick went to the Calgary Flames, where they selected Matthew Tkachuk. The number 7 pick was the Arizona Coyotes, where they selected American-born forward Clayton Keller. The Buffalo Sabres selected at number 8, where they selected Alex Nylander, of course, younger brother of Maple Leafs draft pick William Nylander. The Montreal Canadiens held the number 9 selection, where they drafted young defenseman Mikhail Sergachev, who had played for the London Knights. And the number 10 pick coming to the Colorado Avalanche was young forward Tyson Jost, who certainly had a very promising junior career as well. So those were the original top 10 picks. Let's go back in and redo this draft, starting at number 1 and working our way down through to number 10. Selecting first overall, the Toronto Maple Leafs would definitely still select Auston Matthews with his first overall selection. There is no doubt that he will remain in this position, and it could be some time, really, I don't think ever before that it will ever change. Auston Matthews has proven to be a really solid goal-scoring center iceman, a shoot-first mentality, but he's certainly working on becoming a better two-way player, and down the road, I can certainly see him being better regarded as a solid two-way center who can put up a ton of points. So this is definitely not going to change. He's already averaging slightly more than a point per game in his young NHL career, putting up 285 points in his first 282 games. Certainly in the conversation for the Rocket Richard Trophy before this current NHL season was suspended. I can see him remaining in that conversation for some time. The biggest concern, of course, with Matthews in his young career has been staying healthy. He has missed a few different occasions for extended times due to injuries, but if he can remain healthy, he can have a really solid career and certainly go down as being one of the greatest Maple Leafs of all time. The number 2 selection, the Winnipeg Jets, would still select Finnish forward Patrik Laine, who certainly came into the league on fire, scoring at a really high rate in his first 2 years. Of course, the last 2 years, his numbers have been down a little bit. He's working on becoming a more complete player, which is certainly evident this past year. I think it's fair to say he's back-checking more and playing a more responsible game. Still some work to do, still ways to go, but at least it's happening more frequently. He's got an ultimate release on the power play, great one-timer, and can certainly be quite the sniper for the Winnipeg Jets. He was on pace for about 34 goals this year, which is up from last year, and I think he can get back to being a solid and regular 40-goal scorer. You got to remember how young he still is here. I think he still has a ton of potential and can rival a guy like Alex Ovechkin longer term for being the same type of player, putting up goals on the same sort of level. The number 3 selection would belong to the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'd have moving up from the original number 6 spot would be Matthew Tkachuk, originally taken by the Calgary Flames. Now, Tkachuk has 235 points in his first 293 games and is slowly becoming the leader of the Calgary Flames. And, at times their best player. Longer term, he very well could prove to be just that. Certainly rivaling guys like Sean Monahan and Johnny Gaudreau, making that team a pretty solid offensive threat. But Matthew Tkachuk's not afraid of the physical play, can put up big numbers, plays a lot like his father did, and certainly has worked his way up this draft table. I mean, currently he was selected number 6 overall, which is not too bad, but really, I think if some of these teams could have predicted just how good he would be, he would certainly have moved up at least a few spots. It would make that Columbus Blue Jacket team look a lot different than it would today. Obviously, Dubois worked out pretty nicely, who originally went to Columbus in that draft spot, but Columbus would have a whole different look with Matthew Tkachuk playing the wing for them right now if that were the case. The number 4 selection belonged to the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, they originally selected Jesse Puljujärvi, the young Finnish winger who's now playing in Finland, trying to find consistency and looking for a new home. They would now select Alex DeBrincat, who was certainly one of the draft steals that I would call in this 2016 draft. Originally, he didn't go to number 39 overall. Many knew that he had a lot of goal-scoring capabilities, but were concerned over his size. I mean, he's not a very big guy, but he's proven that not only at the junior level, but at the NHL level, that he can score in bunches, and it's certainly the size is not a factor in this particular case. Obviously, the Edmonton Oilers could have gone ahead here and made a connection. Obviously, DeBrincat played with Connor McDavid in junior. He's also was playing with Dylan Strome, was also on the same team for a while, who of course they've reunited with Chicago. But DeBrincat could have been an excellent fit for Connor McDavid in Edmonton had they been a little bit wiser and put this pick to better use. They might have themselves a solid 30 to 40 goal scorer to play with Connor McDavid and be able to balance out that scoring and be that much more lethal right now should they have used that pick on him instead of a guy like Jesse Puljujärvi. A guy like DeBrincat certainly led to a guy like Cole Caulfield in Montreal going a little higher in the draft and certainly, kind of showing teams that they can't be afraid of the smaller players because they can be just as offensive in today's NHL game. The number 5 overall pick, of course, belonged to the Vancouver Canucks, where they took Olli Juolevi, and now they would select U.S.-born center iceman Clayton Keller, who would certainly add another big boost of speed and offense to the already potent team in Vancouver. I certainly debated this one a little bit because between Keller and guys like Dubois as well, their stats are very, very comparable, but I think the speed of Clayton Keller would fit the game of the Vancouver Canucks a little bit better. He's put up 158 points in 237 games so far. Originally went a few spots lower, number 7 to Arizona. And really, can you imagine? Juolevi right now is trending towards being a draft bust. I'm not going to say that he is one just yet. He has battled a lot of injuries, but still, considering we're now in 2020, this is the 2016 draft. He hasn't played in the NHL, and with everything going on with the suspension and everything, unclear when he'll be able to resume. It's really hard to say when Olli Juolevi could make the jump to the NHL and if he'll ever pan out. So can you imagine if they had Clayton Keller at this point instead? The number 6 overall selection belonged to the Calgary Flames, and they would now select netminder Carter Hart, who originally went in the second round, number 48th overall, to the Philadelphia Flyers. Of course, he had a tremendous junior career playing the WHL to Everett Silvertips. He's now appeared in 74 NHL games and has taken over the starting netminder duties for the Philadelphia Flyers. Clearly, the Calgary Flames could use a young, solid goaltender like Carter Hart in their system. I mean, although I do understand why he went later. Goaltenders rarely go in the first round. Quite often they go anywhere from rounds 2 through 5, 6, 7. Most of them even going in the 3rd and 4th rounds. So I certainly understand why this was not done. But at the same time, knowing just how good and how quickly he's come to the NHL, can you only imagine how much stronger the Flames might be with a guy like Carter Hart in their system? The number 7 overall selection belonged to the Arizona Coyotes, who have obviously selected Clayton Keller, who has gone higher up in this draft. They would now select the next best center iceman available, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who of course originally went to the Blue Jackets at number 3 overall. Dubois has proven to be a pretty solid center iceman, although playing in Columbus, he certainly had to take on higher duty than he might have on other teams, but he's still proven to be good at both ends of the ice. Dubois put up 158 points in his first 234 NHL games and has really proven to be a really solid pick for the Blue Jackets. So imagine him playing for the Arizona Coyotes, who are not overly strong at the center ice position, would certainly really add to make that a much stronger position for the club. The number 8th overall selection belonged to the Buffalo Sabres, and they would now select defenseman Mikhail Sergachev, who originally went one spot lower to the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, Sergachev has now put up 106 points in his first 222 NHL games. Sergachev is a really dynamic offensive defenseman, is really coming into his own, has been able to slowly play with the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. Of course, he was traded from the Habs to the Lightning for Jonathan Drouin, and Sergachev has really continued to slowly build up his resume here and take on a greater role with the Lightning over time, and it's proven to be an excellent defenseman for them after being acquired from Montreal. The number 9 overall selection, like I said, was the Montreal Canadiens, and this time they would select a different defenseman than that from their rival, the Boston Bruins, Charlie McAvoy. McAvoy is a pretty solid defenseman in his own right, so far putting up 92 points in his first 184 games. Originally drafted a little bit lower, number 14th overall to the Boston Bruins. As I mentioned here, it certainly would be odd to see him in a Habs uniform, considering he's played for their rival, the Bruins, his entire young NHL career here so far. But considering where everything is at with the Montreal Blue Line, the fact that they did originally select Sergachev and traded him, if they would have gone this route instead and kept McAvoy, that blue line certainly would be quite a bit different right now. The number 10 selection belonged to the Colorado Avalanche, where they selected Tyson Jost originally, who hasn't quite worked out to what they were expecting. Wouldn't be shocked to see Jost get a fresh start. They would now select Samuel Girard, who of course they didn't originally draft, but have since acquired here through a trade between the Ottawa Senators and Nashville Predators. Of course, Girard was drafted number 47th overall by the Preds and was sent to the Avalanche in that three-way deal that saw the Senators acquire Matt Duchene a couple years back. He's proven to be a solid blue liner for the Avalanche here so far, putting up 84 points in his first 225 games. He's really quick, oftentimes paired with Cale Makar. Has proven to be a dynamic defenseman back there, and certainly proven to be one of the bigger draft steals, in my opinion, by the Predators, of course, who did not hang on to them. At this point, though, they probably kind of wish that they had of. So those are my top 10 selections for the 2016 NHL Draft. Of course, I'd love to know what your thoughts are and how you would rank these players, so certainly feel free to leave some comments in that regard. Now, as far as draft steals go, might be a little bit early, but right now, a couple of the guys I mentioned in there already, like Samuel Girard and Alex DeBrincat, I think DeBrincat probably will prove to be the biggest steal of the draft at this point so far. As far as looking ahead at later round picks who have already made an impact, you've got Victor Mete, the Montreal Canadiens, was drafted around 100th overall, I believe it was, so he's certainly having an impact. You get Jesper Brandt, the New Jersey Devils selection, who went 162 overall. Has already put up 100 points in 185 games. He's worked out quite nicely for a later round pick, and obviously making it quickly to the NHL, which is not something that's overly common. And of course, even Adam Fox as well, who was a third rounder, but has already been traded twice because he refused to sign. Originally drafted by the Flames, traded to the Hurricanes, and then again traded to the Rangers. So they'd have his signing rights while he played college hockey for a number of years, and was having a terrific rookie season before the NHL season was paused and suspended. So I guess we'll hard to call him a draft steal, considering the team who got him didn't hang on to him because they weren't able to sign him. But still, it's amazing to see that he, with all that talent, went as late in the draft as he ended up going. So, of course, like I said, as always, we'll know your thoughts and opinions on this 2016 draft. How would you rank the new top 10 players if you were able to go back and have these teams do a redraft and have a second kick at the can here, drafting maybe a better selection? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.